You're now tuned in to the Black Deth 101 podcast, where the streets talk and the reels roll.
Welcome to the Black Deth 101 podcast, where the streets talk, reels roll. We dissect our favorite Blaxploitation films that saved Hollywood and still influence it today. I am your host, Nubius Black, and giving him 5 on the right-hand side, my brother from another mother, Johnny Deth. What's up, Johnny?
Hey, Nubius. Glad to be here today, and especially happy that we have such an incredibly entertaining movie to talk about today.
And what show would that be?
Truck Turner. Isaac Hayes as Mac Truck Turner. AIP wanted an ultra-violent, hardcore, black, Dirty Harry movie, but they got something better.
No joke. They got soul, they got machismo, they got tropes that happened in every movie since this movie came out. Were created from this film. But before we get into it, we would like to please like, subscribe, and share, and be forewarned that this movie and this podcast most definitely uses racially charged language. And before we start, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Rodney Dukes and Corey Wells. They went on the Facebook page and they're digging what we're laying down, and they gave us some suggestions. They think we should put a spoiler alert in case some people haven't seen this, and which you should shame on you jive ass turkeys for not seeing any of these movies. But if we're the gateway to this stuff, we'll take that role as the gateway to Blaxploitation cinema and all its connotations. Again, like we say, how it spread out and made the films that you're enjoying today. A lot of them you wouldn't get without Blaxploitation films, and you definitely won't get the coolness that Isaac Hayes is laying down. Give us the overview of this film.
Okay, dig it. 1974, Truck Turner. Isaac Hayes behind the wheel, shotgun on the seat, John Kaplan in the director's chair, and a whole lot of funk ready to bust loose. Spoiler warning, guys. If you haven't had a chance to see this movie in the last 51 years, go watch it. Or listen to us and then go watch it.
It works both ways.
It does. Now, Kaplan's road to Truck Turner. He'd just come out of Roger Corman's Grindhouse School, where he made The Student Nurses in 1970 and The Slams in 73 with Jim Brown. That's how he got on AIP's radar. They call him up. They say, hey, kid, we got a new project. It's going to star either Ernest Borgnine or Lee Marvin. We're negotiating with them. They're going to play an old bounty hunter that goes after the most violent pimp ever to live. And Kaplan says, hey, that sounds good. I think I'll do this. So he signs up, and the next day, they drop the bomb. Forget Lee Marvin. Isaac Hayes is your star, because we want and we're going to get that motherfucking soundtrack, which, along with enough footage to cut a damn good trailer, is what they wanted. So imagine that whiplash. One day, you sign on for a grizzled white Oscar winner, and the next it's the king of funk who's already got an Oscar in his pocket for Shaft. Kaplan is sent to Hayes' house because now Isaac has to approve him as the director. And Jonathan Kaplan, little chubby Jewish guy, he's nervous as hell. He's thinking he's going to meet this big, bare-chested, gold chain draped badass. Hayes opens the door, cracks a smile, looks Kaplan in the eye and says, you look like Duck Dunn, the bassist from Booker T and the MGs, and Kaplan loves Booker T and the MGs. Duck Dunn was in the Blues Brothers. He's
yes.
fantastic. Kaplan and Hayes, they hit it off immediately, talking music and just boom, partnership seal.
Kaplan did a lot of work besides this, too. A lot of people don't understand or even would remember. Project X, White Line Fever.
He's the one that got Jodie Foster her Oscar when he directed her in The Accused. And after that, he couldn't get a job doing B-movies anymore. Yeah, Kaplan tells it that from that moment on, all he could do was get work doing drama led by a woman. And what he wanted to do was the B movies, the White Line Fevers, Truck Turner. And in my opinion, Truck Turner is Jonathan Kaplan's masterpiece.
No doubt. I mean, I remember seeing White Line Fever, but it was just that. White Line Fever. There was no other color in there but the line and the road and the actors that were in it. That was back when everybody was in the CB craze with Convoy, with Chris Christopherson, and all that type of jazz. But Kaplan nailed it. Like you said, his best film was definitely Truck Turner, because Truck Turner just had a little bit of everything. It was like an embarrassment of riches of the stars that started in this film that went on to do bigger and better things. And that's saying something, because Truck Turner, in my opinion, raised the bar not only in blaxploitation films, but in films in general, because they had backstories, these characters, that they weren't shallow, two-dimensional characters. I mean, you looked at, like you said, you looked at Isaac Hayes and you expected the big black bald man with the big ass gun. You got that. But what you didn't realize is this is a guy who loved his lady to the point of having her locked in jail for protection. He loved a fucking cat. And you should know, you're a cat guy. I'm a dog guy. I think he was more pissed off of what happened to the cat to what could have happened to his lady. Yeah, great movie.
Production on this film was tight. They're signing you off at Kodo to play the bad guy. They haven't signed him yet. He's just hemming and hawing and asking for more. And what have they got? They've got to the point now where they have to start shooting. Day one, it's chaos. Yaphet is not there. No contract yet. No villain. No big bad. AIP is breathing down Kaplan's neck. So what does the kid do? He grabs a camera and his crew. They head into downtown LA and they start just shooting scenes, and they pay a bunch of homeless guys $10 each to stage a fight. This chaos becomes the opening credits. AIP almost fired him when they saw that's all you got on day one, shots outside, but it stuck. It set the tone, and that is 1970s filmmaking for you. Just raw hustle.
Hustle and guerrilla movie making at its best, because these guys, like you said, they weren't actors. These were just regular homeless people out on the street and was paid to fight. Just go out there and start beating each other up, and we'll let you know when to stop. And when you see the scene, you go, hold up, is this real? Because once it starts getting like heated, they cut off of it really quick while the funky
just
song
as the
is
cops
playing.
roll up.
Yeah, and the cops who are real cops. It's incredible. This movie is incredible. So like we were saying, like Truck is a bounty hunter with his partner, Jerry. And Jerry, he is the trope of the black best friend or sidekick who is just a week away from retirement and he can't wait to get out of life and live a nice, quiet existence. So you know what's going to happen. So we'll get to that. But that's basically what it is. Truck Turner being a bounty hunter with Jerry, and he's hired to pick up a notorious pimp who'd skipped bail. And what else happened?
Gator. So we've got all the elements. You got the funky soundtrack from Isaac, also the tough lead, but with a surprising amount of warmth. Shootouts, car chases, and the baddest fucking pimp ever to walk across the street in a plaid pimp suit or a pink Cadillac, and that's Gator. Nobody wants to go after Gator.
Where most pimps are almost comical and almost, playing it for fun, Gator may look jovial in today's society when you see somebody like that, and they're just playing it for laughs. But Gator was fucking hard as a coffin nail. This dude was mean. I mean, how mean can he be? I mean, mean in that he was smart. He was agile to the point where Truck Turner and Jerry couldn't even keep up with him. The cops steered away from this shit. He was not one to be fucked with. But they fucked with him.
They did. They go to his girlfriend, played by Nichelle Nichols, and then they follow her. They say they're looking for him. She don't know where he is. They follow her where she goes to meet him. As soon as that pink car pulls up, they hit the gas and the chase is on through the mean streets of LA, through downtown LA, where the streets are mostly deserted, but they somehow manage to hit a baby carriage filled with bagels. Don't know why. It's hilarious. No one for miles, but they drive through a flower cart. It's just a crazy, crazy scene. And eventually it spills out onto the street across a sewage water treatment plant that you might recognize from Soylent Green into a dive bar where, as you said, this pimp is agile. He's ahead of the boys, and he gives everyone in that bar $50 each. $50 each. Don't let this guy follow me out of here. And he takes off through the back just as Truck and Jerry come in, and the fight is on.
Great fight.
Everyone in that bar, yeah, perfect bar fight. Everyone in that bar is on them, and they hold their own? Man, they kick ass.
Kick ass, and then after they get done kicking ass, the ultimate in humiliation, because it was great, because it was not just black dudes in this bar. There was white dudes and a Mexican. They had a little bit of everybody in there, and Truck and Jerry had to fucking go through all that shit. Mind you, Gator is getting away, but Truck is still fucking street enough to tell them to take their pants down and wrap them around their ankles so they could not give chase, which I thought was fucking pretty brilliant when you think about it. And then, like you said, after that, then they even said, man, if he told us it was Chuck Turner and Jerry, we would have never fucking did this shit. Everybody was beat the fuck up. The place was a wreck. Furniture was moved. It was fucking fantastic. And like you said, when Gator went into the water treatment plant, all I kept thinking is Blackula gonna come out of this motherfucker? Because I could have sworn the interiors look like the Blackula scene in the finale of that. But that was definitely Soylent Green all the way. But
Oh, yeah.
great shot of Gator in his brightly colored attire, dressed the way he was, and then he's heading back to his girl, and didn't his girl end up stabbing Jerry with a pair of scissors?
Yeah, he runs to Leningrad Crew. Crazy names in this thing. He gets there, there's a shootout, they end up taking out Gator, and Leningrad Crew, she comes running out with those scissors and pops them right into Jerry's back.
Yeah, and I thought Jerry was dead then, but he survived that shit. I was like, oh, Jerry's gonna be okay. It was a great, one of the greatest psych outs in cinema history, because they did it first. They set it up, then they gave you the fake out where you thought Jerry was gonna buy it right then, and Jerry was okay. He made it. He was more concerned of his wife's car getting beat up, because they was beating the shit out of that car, that's for sure. And speaking of beating shit out, we got to talk about the police, where they had to go and arrest a military official who raped a little girl, but hid out on the military base. And Truck and Jerry had to go out there and bring him back. It was just, this is where you got to show the racism back then, where they were like, we're not concerned with a young black girl getting raped by a white military official. This guy's a major or some shit. And Truck wasn't having that shit.
First of all, they had to break in. They have to drive through the barrier to get onto the base. The guys start to shoot at him, and Truck, he just maneuvers his car because he needs a new back left tire. And bang, they take it out. The next scene, they're putting a new tire on his car while he's talking to the commanding officer, who is not going to give this guy up until Truck says, well, okay, we'll go on out and let everyone know you're protecting a child molester. They immediately tell the guy to get out there, but to get out of his military clothes and wear civilian clothes.
And it just escalates from there. The guy gets put in the back seat and he's talking mad shit. Sambo this, spook that, nigga this. He is laying it down, and Truck was like, man, you say one more word and I'm gonna beat your ass. And Jerry's like, please don't beat him up, because you know what happens when you beat him up. Next scene we see, another one of those great little fight scenes. I mean, there was a lot of good fight. Whoever choreographed the fighting in this movie is also legit, because the fights looked real, and they weren't doing anything outrageous, just fist and feet. They beat the shit out of
Bob
one
Miner
another.
from Coffee was their stunt guy.
Really. And also, we got to give a shout out to our boy Dick Miller, because Dick Miller was the racist bail bondsman who sends Truck on this one particular excursion.
He puts him up on Gator. Yeah. And you think that's going to be as bad as it can get, but it gets a lot worse. Because Nichelle Nichols, Lieutenant Uhura from Star Trek, she loved Gator. She's got her stable, and she's going to, well, before we get there, we've got to do the funeral.
The
Gotta pay
funeral
respects to Gator.
is
The
my
pimp funeral.
favorite scene. A pimp. If you never thought about, if any of you people who listen to this podcast seen the movie Black Dynamite, when you watch Truck Turner, you're gonna go, "Oh, that's where they got that idea." Because Black Dynamite had a scene where all the pimps were worried about losing business and this, that, and the fourth, and then they were resorting to selling drugs because the hose was all hoed out. But here, Gator had a fucking lockdown on the hose. Nichelle Nichols was the mistress of Gator and lover of Gator, obviously. And when Gator gets killed and they have this funeral, and every pimp in the like whole, and not even just the area, they flew from, some of them flew from the East Coast to LA to pay respects to Gator, who laid in the fucking coffin with his hands folded, defiant to the end. And they walked in line, step foot, sprinkling cocaine on Gator. The music is just smooth, jazzy horns, organ playing. It was beautiful music. The music in this movie is fantastic. But then a Rolls Royce pulls up, and out comes Blue, played by Yaphet Kotto. Yeah, that Yaphet Kotto that came from The Running Man and Live and Let Die and Alien and Midnight Run, Star Chamber, Homicide. We can be here all day talking about Yaphet Kotto. And he comes out,
Report to the commissioner.
yeah,
So many.
he comes out there with bell bottoms on. You can hear the bells ringing when he's walking. Them fuckers were huge. He came out there, he had a fucking driver, a valet. And while everybody is showing respect to Gator, he bends over to Gator, and everybody thinks he's gonna, do the cocaine sprinkle, and he spits in Gator's dead face. That was it. Nichelle Nichols was like, "I'm gonna have to kill Truck, and then I'm gonna have to kill Blue," because she had a plan. She was the most diabolical, evil, sexy woman you would ever see, and you'll totally forget that this is the same woman who was head of communications on the Starship Enterprise while Captain Kirk is giving her the wink and the smile. If she was playing Dorinda in Star Trek, she'd fuck Captain Kirk up and she'd be running shit.
She is scary.
She turned on a dime. And just like the music went from smooth and soulful and jazzy, then it got diabolical. I mean, not a nice subtle change. It wasn't sudden. It was subtle. And that's another one of my favorite scenes, just listening to how that music just morphed into something else. And that's when you knew shit was gonna fucking get real.
Definitely. Definitely. So all the pimps go back to her place. She invites everyone over because they want her girls, but they don't even know what she's got. And she walks out and she sits down and she introduces her stable.
With a menu. Each girl had a great little history and byline of what they can do and how they did it, how much they made that year, tax free. And it tells you, and that's really smart when you think about it. It ain't like you just getting some, and I hate to, I ain't trying to downplay it, but you ain't getting some skeezer off the street. These were top-notch women pulling in six figures a year in 1970 fucking two or four rather. Come on, that just makes no sense. And they get higher and higher, and they all have these cool fucking pro wrestling names.
This is Taffy.
China Da. My favorite was Freeway. You had to pay to get on and pay to get off. What the hell is that, man? That's just insane.
Just unbelievable. And she's just so tough and so scary. I mean, like, your ass belongs to me. I tell you what you can and can't do with it.
Pedal that ass. Now smile and make it look good. That was another good. She had so many good lines, but the best line ever, and it's a word. And you heard it is, and we're in Blaxploitation territory. So again, if you are sensitive to this shit, you should not be listening to this show. But the word you can hear where the white cops or the man, they will call a black guy a nigger with a hard ER. And then you'll get the black guys and they will say it either in the term of endearment or a term of get the fuck out of my face, nigga, with a A. maybe with a silent H on the end of that son bitch. Nichelle Nichols, she invents a whole new word. We know what she's saying, we know what she means, but she puts a fucking Q and a U in the word nigger. And it just sounds so eloquent. The way she's calling somebody a nigger. I mean, I can't even get it right. You have to see this movie. Anybody who can, in the sound of our voices, watch this movie, come back to us, tell us how you would pronounce the word nickel. I won't be offended. Johnny won't be offended. Nichelle Nichols wasn't offended. I mean, hell, she went right back to Star Trek, even though she was going to quit that show, and Martin Luther King talked her into staying. So there's that. But this show uses that word, and when she says it, you stand at attention like, oh shit, she means business. And oh shit, what the fuck did she say? And oh shit, what does she mean? But she meant business. She was fantastic. And like I said in the beginning of the show, this is oh my God, an embarrassment of riches of actors that are in this show. You know, we can't even half step on Alan Weeks playing Truck's partner, Jerry. He was a
Jerry.
black belt. Jones, he was in a fucking French Connection. He was the black cop that Papa Doyle, he called him a nigger with a hard ER. Let's be real about that shit. And yanked him up and threw him in the bathroom. Turned out he was an undercover cop trying to fucking get a lead on this French heroin trade. Another good movie. I call that Blaxploitation fucking adjacent. It sure looked it. You only had one black dude in it, but hell, it looked like a Blaxploitation film. That's a William. What's that? William Freakin?
Yeah.
Yep. So it just Nichelle Nichols and Alan Weeks, Isaac Hayes obviously is running the show. But when they go after the funeral, she's like, not only are you going to vie for my wares, and I'm going to continue to be the madam and skim my, 40% off the top. So you get extra if you kill Truck Turner. And everybody's like him and hawing like, you ain't say all that shit now, So Truck's got a fucking reputation of not to be that guy to fuck with.
Whoever can kill Truck Turner gets the stable.
Yep. And she was like, made a contest out of it. And needless to say, a lot of these motherfuckers ate bullets before the fucking credits rolled.
Hell yeah. Now, it's not all shootouts and pimp slapping and fashion and incredible music. It's also got heart. Truck's relationship with his girlfriend, Annie, played by Annazette Chase, it grounds the film. She isn't just eye candy, she's really the emotional anchor. There's a scene early on in the movie where Truck goes to visit Annie in prison because she's always going to jail. His friends are telling him, that girl's trouble, but she's always going to jail. But he loves her. He goes to visit her. Oh, shit. When you check your gun and your ID and everything to get in to see the girls in the jail, the guy playing the guard is Stymie
From the
Little
Rascals.
Rascals.
Yes, sir.
Unbelievable. And just her chemistry, Annie's chemistry with Hayes really gives the movie heart. Not only that, but just even his partner Jerry, which gives us that early buddy cop dynamic that you know so well from like 48 Hours and Lethal Weapon. They're already doing it in 74. And even the little roles in this, they all have flavor.
And they stand out.
They do. They do. Now, Jerry and Truck work for Nate the bail bondsman. And Nate Dwindle is a great guy. You can tell they've been friends for a while because he has a picture of Truck up on his wall from when he was a football player before he popped his knee out. And Nate is played by Sam Lewis. He's gruff. He's funny. He's always riding them hard to get results. Blue Monster in the stable. So he calls in some hitmen from out of town because Truck's already taken out anyone that gets sent after him.
The insurance company.
Yes. Insurance company, and they figure there's an insurance policy on Truck Turner. If they kill him, they collect. So they go over to Nate the bail bondsman, and they beat the fucking crap out of him. The movie suddenly shifts. There's a tonal shift from this light, fun action to just, man, that beating. I could feel that beating.
And when he got on the phone, dude, that's acting. When he got on the phone, you felt for that dude, man. He's like, please come by. Please. Just somebody help me. I mean, his eye was hanging out of his face. He was all bloodied up. And he just took a serious ass kicking. It is such a fucking touching scene because now you really see that love that you didn't, they joked around before and busted each other's balls, but you seen that love that Truck had for him where they trying to get information, they have to go to the fucking Duke. And who plays the Duke?
Scatman Crothers.
Yes, sir. Hong Kong Phooey himself.
Yep. Straight off of Black Belt Jones and wearing that same oily
Same
toupee.
fucking wig. Nothing's funnier than a pimp who had a retirement plan, who retired and had a really nice, it looked like a mansion, and had all his old hoes still living with him and serving him like they were his butlers and maids.
Shooting this scene nearly put them behind schedule because Scatman could not remember his lines. They had to make him cue cards, and they had to do everything they could so that you wouldn't see he was reading. So the broad with the big cans that Jerry's
Yeah.
kind of flirting with, all those scenes, funny as they are, they're there. So we don't see Scatman literally holding the cue cards in his hand and reading them.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do. They say you get oranges, you make orange juice. And they was making mimosas that day, and they had to lure Jerry off the scene because they had to give Scatman his spot. And like you said, he couldn't remember none of his lines, and he only had like 6 lines to remember. But Scatman, his name value carried a lot, so it worked out. It worked out, and poor Gator. This dude, even though he was like the villain in the beginning, just the way he went out, you were like, man, what could have been if Gator survived this shit? But Yafakoto came in and fucking filled that fucking villainous void, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. When Kodo finally signed on, the movie found its center of gravity. As Blue, he's slick, he's charming, but he's lethal. He's scary.
And,
We'd already seen him in Across 110th Street.
and if you notice, he doesn't really want to fucking fuck with Truck Turner. That's a risk he's not willing to take. That's why he got the insurance company to come in and do what they did. But when they failed, he took matters in his own hands. And also on a side note, Charles Cypher, remember he played the fucking bum that was hanging out at the Bell Bondsman shop, and everybody knows Charles Cypher from Halloween 2. He was Sheriff Brackett. He was on Assault Precinct 13, The Fog, Escape from New York, Death Wish 2. He was that guy, man. Charles Cypher is a great character actor, and again, I hate that term because all actors are playing characters. You know what I'm saying? But he's that guy. You see him and Dick Miller, you're getting some. Even if the movie sucks, you're gonna go, well, Dick Miller was fucking cool, or Charles Cypher was kind of cool. But yeah, man, this movie is dark. After Gator dies, like you said, it takes a complete 180 and some dark shit.
So Truck gets this call from Nate, the bail bondsman, in the middle of the night, and he can tell something's wrong, but he's fucked up. He's loaded. He's in bed. He calls Jerry, see if maybe Jerry can run over there and just make sure everything's okay, because something sounded off. And Jerry, despite the protest from his wife, he gets up and he goes over to see Nate. And when he shows up, the insurance company takes him down. And then when they realize it's the wrong guy, they put an extra one right in his head.
Yeah, that's another tough watch.
The next day, Truck goes to visit Nate in the hospital. The man's lost an eye. He's barely holding on. And damn, if Blue doesn't fucking show up at that hospital, guns blazing.
Fucking people are running, ducking and diving and I mean, everybody has a fucking gun. And again, the hospital scene, it looked like it was actually lived in and functional. A lot of movies you see, it's like, this wing of the hospital just happened to be closed that year, for renovations. This one looked, there was motherfuckers getting surgery when this shit was going on. It was just so fucking bizarre.
The hospital was actually a working hospital that had one floor that was not in use, that AIP leased for a couple of days to shoot this scene. It was owned by the Catholic Church, and it was actually a home for unwed mothers. So they're shooting there, and the nun and the monk that run the place, they're the two in the elevator when the elevator doors open up and they just look out and see all the shooting going on and the doors close back up. But yeah, man, that that scene was nuts. And it would have been nuttier, but there's one shot that they cut out. There was a shot in a delivery room where the surgeon is just holding up the baby when Truck and Blue come through, guns blazing. But even with that gone, this is just the nuttiest freaking shootout I've ever seen in a hospital. And Blue, realizing that Truck's going to get the drop on him, grabs a little white boy to use as a shield.
Yeah. Who would have thought you're never shooting that scene ever again in life? Where a large, dark skinned black man who steps in a car and the oil light turns on, that's how black he is, gonna grab a white child and use him as a human shield. You're never gonna get that scene again in life because, the world we live in now, that shit ain't gonna go down. But he did it in that motherfucker. And it wasn't like a short scene. That shit carried all the way to outside, you know. And we got to remember, Truck's girlfriend, Truck tricked her into getting locked up in jail by putting clothes while they went shopping in her bag so she can go to jail again just to keep her safe. That's how desperate Truck was. He didn't have Jerry anymore. He didn't have his buddy at the Bell Bondsman's. He didn't have nothing. It was just him and his anger. This son bitch went to pimp headquarters, which is kind of funny because it looked like it was like the Justice League of pimps. And he just went to their headquarters and fucking killed all of them. And then went to that hospital when all this shit went down. And also on a side note, some of the pimps you may see it don't have a big part, but then you go, oh, that's that guy. You'll see Stan Shaw, who played in the Harlem Nights. He was in Jeepers Creepers 3. He was in the Jacksons, American Story or whatever it was called. Snake Eyes. He was in Roots, The Next Generation. Stan Shaw, who is still alive and still acting. When you see him, you go, oh, that's that guy from TNT Jackson and all that. He's everywhere. And the one that I was telling you about that you didn't know, and that's something I finally get you on some shit. His name was Earl Menard. And he ain't nothing to the average movie watcher, cinephile. But one of my favorite movies in the barbarian age of films, since when Conan came out, everybody had to have their own Conan. But here's the switch. This movie came out 2 weeks before Conan. It was called The Sword and the Sorcerer with Lee Horsley, Matt Houston, with his fucking macho ass. But he was, he wasn't no jacked up Conan, but he was still good for what he did. Anywho.
Oh, with the tri-blade shooting sword.
Yes, sir. And Richard Lynch is the villain. And
yes.
And Bull was the fucking sorcerer from Night Court. But what was his name?
That's right.
Maul. Richard Maul?
Yeah, Richard Maul.
It was fucking, and then they have, of course, now, everybody we just said was white. That's a given. But then out of the blue, when the head hero needed a partner to help out, save the world and save the fucking princess, this black guy shows up. Mind you, they're in a whorehouse, which was the greatest setting ever. Sword and Sorcerer, on a side note, is one of the fucking greatest fucking macho. Dude, there is so much testosterone dripping in this film. You'll fail a fucking drug test. Yeah, you're failing a fucking drug test that year. But the guy who stands up out of the whorehouse, his name was Captain Morgan. He was this jacked up black guy. So he definitely stood out because he was this jacked up black guy. And then when you look at this movie, you're going to go, why does that pimp look so familiar? And that was him. Earl Menard, former bodybuilder. He was in Mandingo. He was a heavy in Black Belt Jones. He was in the fucking Deep in that movie with all the fucking heroin and underwater when Jaws was a fucking hot shit. Deep didn't do too well. But the Deep should have been one of them girls in this movie. But I mean, I'm just saying, she's saying she's so good they should call her the Deep. You'll get lost in that shit. But that fucking fight at the end of the fucking film, where you thought the movie was over, where the little white boy gets saved and truck fucking chases fucking Blue outside, and he fucking truck loads some fucking rounds in his ass, and it's one of the best fucking death scenes you'll ever see in film.
It is a master class in building tension. Two big men, two big presences colliding. Truck has a 44 Magnum, the Dirty Harry gun. As soon as Blue takes a bullet, the sound goes dead quiet. The camera locks on Blue's face and switches between that and his POV as he's getting weaker and weaker and just trying to get to his car. Intense stuff. The audience I saw it with on Hollywood Boulevard, it was on a double bill with Foxy Brown. The audience, as soon as it went quiet, starts screaming, "Shoot him again! Shoot him in the head! Shoot him in the back!" And Truck shoots him in the back, and he finally goes down.
And that's when most movies, credits will fucking roll after they fade to black. But that's not what they do here.
We still have another villain.
There's Dorinda talking mad shit, thinking that Blue handled that business until Truck shows up. And here's the thing, we talked earlier about Truck wasn't just this diabolical one-track Terminator type dude. He gave Dorinda a choice. You stay and you die. Or you can pack up your shit and get the fuck out of fucking California. He even helped her. He was getting in her drawers, taking all her clothing out of the closet and trying to put them in suitcases. And he's not looking at Dorinda. And Dorinda says to him, "Well, what are you going to do? You're not going to shoot a woman."
As she's reaching for the gun.
Yeah, she has a gun at the nightstand and she's ready to shoot Truck in the back. But Truck was ahead of the game, man. And he shot Dorinda right in the fucking stomach, man. Blew her fucking open again. But she was...
And he literally tells her, "Get your hand out of that drawer.
I know what you're doing." He puts a divot in her. God damn, it looked like a golf divot. He blew the shit. I can still see it. She was wearing a white dress. And she's talking. And you know what? Unlike Blue, where Blue was stunned and defeated and was like, "Why did I even fucking bother?" You can see all this shit in his eyes. Where Dorinda was defiant to the fucking end. She was like, "I can't believe you black nigga shooting me. God damn." It was just so hardcore. Yo, this bitch was a hard ass. She was one of my favorite villains of the 70s. No doubt. No doubt.
And especially it being Lieutenant Uhura?
Yes.
Holy crap, I never saw that coming. I did not know she had it in her.
She went from being the ultimate pacifist to the ultimate female aggression. It was fucking great. And you know, you're not, I'm not even stretching this. If you remember watching the Luke Cage series on Netflix, the main villain was a woman named Black Mariah. Black Mariah was running. She had a clean background where she was trying to run for Senate and she was trying to clean up the neighborhood, but she was crooked as shit. And you could see she even uses the nigga term on Luke Cage the way that Dorinda did it. She uses the same lingo, the way she put that word out there. And Luke Cage even he was like the fucking Isaac Cage character. He was a little more passive, which was kind of weird for a fucking bulletproof black man. Go back and watch Luke Cage and then realize that Black Mariah is a fucking total fucking take on Dorinda. Dorinda and Black Mariah, two of the most fucking dangerous women that was ever written, in my opinion. I can't think of another. Maybe I'm wrong. Can you come up with another villainess that were badass?
I cannot. No, not even close.
I mean, when you think of Truck Turner, his weapon was his grit, his gun, and trying to do the right thing, even though his job was dirty. And Belinda just had her wiles, her feminine wiles, and her sexuality, but she was fucking smart. So she had other dudes do all the heavy lifting. So, yeah, this fucking movie, in closing, was...
Its influences can still be felt.
Spread out. This movie was the roots of what we see today that's branching out from the trunk all the way out to all these different branches. It's the roots, and it's a great fucking film. And like you said, the cinematography was on point. The direction was on point. The writing was well done. Nothing's worse, and you can agree with me on this. Nothing's worse, and that goes for anything. Any fucking genre, be it movies, TVs, books, comic books, any media. When you have a black character in your main, but that character is written by a white person, it kind of comes off fucking phony, even if a black person is playing it. Yes?
Yes.
These guys here, back then, it was almost like they hung out at the juke joints. They hung out at the fucking, where they were shooting they fucking dice. They hung out and literally absorbed not just the language of the black community, but the struggle and what black people went through. And that's what makes these movies, especially the good ones like this. There's going to be other films we're going to cover where you go, no black person in the world will ever talk like that. But in this one, the writers and the director, they were on point. They said, we're going to go for the down and the gritty. This is not fucking for the faint of heart. We got the fucking blueprint from Shaft, and we're going to fucking make this our own and make this character just as cool, just as bad. And again, with a heart of gold, but was in a fucked up situation and he had a fucked up job. And that is what things get kind of weird. Because again, going back to like books and novels and comic books, what have you, when all the black characters were coming out, they came out during this era where they were like comic book people, like, fuck it, we want to make fucking money too on the Blaxploitation deal. And that's where Luke Cage came from. That's where Blade came from. And if you read it, you go, no black man in the world is going to say Sweet Christmas. None. None. They just won't. And Blade, they made him look like he was coming right out of a discotheque. Blade didn't get the transformation until the first Norrington film, and Norrington seen the writing on the wall that people wanted to see smooth, sleek, and hip, and that's what they got. But, sounds like I'm coming on a rant here, but it all connects. All of this connects is what I'm saying is like when black people are written and directed by a person who knows the black experience, you're always going to get a better fucking product. That's all there is to it.
And Hayes, he brought the warmth, and you got to remember, he didn't just star, he scored it. The Truck Turner soundtrack, it's wall-to-wall funk. Wah-wah guitars, horns, deep grooves, every chase, fight, every swagger down the street has a Hayes backbeat behind it. And, some fans might even argue that it's funkier than Shaft.
I'm one of them.
AIP didn't just get a star, they got an album to sell. And you're right. As we've talked about this, you've always said if you just put on anything from Truck Turner and listen to it, that's the Blaxploitation sound.
Yes.
Right there.
And it's great that, Isaac had back-to-back hits with the soundtracks. And again, we're going to get to this film, but not to be outdone, Curtis Mayfield says, you know what? Hold my beer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, we are getting to Superfly. I know exactly when we're getting to it. You guys will find out soon. Now, Truck Turner, it didn't make the Shaft money, but it stuck around. The grindhouses, the neighborhood theaters kept it alive. They paired it. I saw it with Foxy Brown. It played with Coffee, with Black Belt Jones. It became Saturday night double feature gold. And over time, the cult grew because it's funny, funky, it's ferocious. Kaplan survived AIP's doubts. Hayes proved he could act. Nichols burned an image into cinema history as one of the boldest madams ever put on film.
And that's saying something. She was better than Mommy. Think about that. Shelley Winters was like she was the goalpost, and Nichelle Nichols just kicked that shit down, which is that's a feat for the fucking census there.
As over the top as both of those performances are, Dorinda is believable. Mommy is hilarious.
Right. She's funny.
But Dorinda is terrifying and absolutely believable, as is everything in this movie. This movie is just pure fun from beginning to end, and I cannot recommend it enough. It gets the gold-plated crown.
Yes. Gold-plated big time. Again, like we said in the beginning, this movie has influenced so many films in its wake, from the Lethal Weapons and the TV shows that 50 Cent produces. You look at those shows that he does, dude, you wouldn't get any of that shit without these films. None. Powers. That's what it was called. 50 Cent have the Powers series. Powers is definitely a fucking wave to the Blaxploitation era, just in a modern time. And again, go out there. It ain't hard to find. You can find Truck Turner anywhere. 1974 at its funkiest is at the least it's an hour and a half. And you're gonna love this film. And it ends on a good high note, even though it gets fucking dark at the end. It ends on a good high note that Truck Turner and his girlfriend, they live happily ever after with a new cat. So just check out the fucking film. This film is incredible.
Your assignment, class? Truck Turner this week. And we'll be back with you next episode with some Rudy Ray Moore insanity.
Insanity, Dolomite insanity. You got to come back for that. I mean, come on. Dolomite. I met Rudy Ray Moore, and I'll get into it the next episode a little more, at a convention, and he couldn't have been the nicest, most polite, coolest guy. Gave me a CD of his rap music called Big Humpin' Papa. I have it. I will put a picture of it with his autograph on it on the Facebook page. And again, go on Facebook, see what we got out there, see what's coming up next. Look at some of the shirt designs. If you want a shirt, get a shirt. I will be more than happy to get you a shirt. Again, like, subscribe, share. Hell, we're on YouTube now. And eventually we're going to have to show our ugly mugs. I know I'm wearing a dashiki. I say you wear an afro wig, dude. And if anybody got a problem with that,
a giant pimp hat
or a big
with
pimp,
a feather.
Dude, pimp hat with an eye patch, like the dude in this movie.
Oh, hells yeah.
Dude, you got to do the eye patch. So,
you got it.
We're glad you guys came by and sat down and hung out with us for a little bit.
We love having you.
So come back and get it funky with us. Don't be a jive-ass turkey. Same black time, same black channel. And what we say at the end of the show, peace.
Peace.
Mama gave me 5 and said, go see your show. I rode down to Hollywood, neon lights in a row. Sticky floors and torn seats, popcorn in my lap. Kung fu kicks, muscle cars, a Technicolor trap. And I'd sit there wide-eyed, heart beat like a drum, watching heroes in leather say, come on, sucker, run. Learn attitude and soul, those images don't lie. Those B-movie reels were my ticket to pride. Saturday matinee, black light dreams, chrome revolvers and jive talk schemes. Foxy moments, blackula screams. In a reel of celluloid I found my themes. I was just a kid, but man, I felt that scene. Saturday matinee, watching my dreams. Coffee had a razor hidden in her curls. Truck Turner laid 'em out, taking on the world. Dolomite talking dirty but sharp with the blade. And Black Belt Jones doing damage in a trampoline raid. It wasn't perfect, but it spoke to me. Smart and bold on the silver screen. Loud, proud, funky and free. Heroes and monsters and everything in between. Saturday matinee, blacklight dreams, smoky plots and backlot scenes. Revenge, romance, and laser beams. From Pam to Clint and every king and queen. I was just a kid, but man, I lived that dream. Saturday matinee, Boulevard dreams, right on, baby. talking soul cinema, buried prince and righteous sinners. When the man came down, we stood tall and swayed boots, talking smack, playing traps, and riding custom coupes. So here's to that grindhouse glowing the midnight screams, to the Saturday matinee, and them celluloid dreams.